Originally, she was a software engineer who became friends with the Turtles after they saved her from her horrible boss. But when it was time to adapt her story to TV, almost all of it got lost in translation, and they ended up creating an almost completely new character. Today, I'll be talking about the Fred Wolf version of April O'Neil. April O'Neil was brought to life by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird in 1984 for the second issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. After that, she became a human ally for the Turtles, though she wasn't initially involved in their adventures, or at least not intentionally. They adapted April into the Playmates line, but her first release didn't resemble the cartoon version, so they did a second release that better captured the character's animation look. When David Wise took on the role of writing the original miniseries, he decided to use April O'Neil, but he pretty much created his own version of her. In his story, since the Turtles were outcasts and couldn't really interact with the outside world or have reasons to care about humans, April became their liaison with the surface.
But us, Turtles, outcasts of society, why do we have to stand alone against the forces of evil?
To integrate April more into the Turtles' world beyond the first episode, he made her a reporter, their very own Lois Lane, who could alert them about any menace and join in their adventures. Her character design didn't take much from the comics, not even the color of her hair, which became a light auburn. Furthermore, her appearance was mostly inspired by Fujiko Mine, a character from the anime Lupin. But that wasn't all that changed. The most iconic one was her yellow jumpsuit. And then there's the case of her personality. When Renee Jacobs was cast as April O'Neil, she didn't have access to the source material. After a few recordings, April's personality started reflecting Renee's interpretation of her, which was a mix of her own traits and some characteristics of local news reporters. In fact, many of the changes in the Turtles' personalities came from the actors recording together. As a result of these changes, April became an adventurer driven by curiosity and passion for her profession. Although her curiosity often landed her in trouble, she was never really portrayed as a damsel in distress. This version of April was so well integrated into the Turtles' adventures that all subsequent versions found ways to do the same. As for who April was before the pilot, all we know is that she was 28 years old, and her middle name may or may not have been Harriet. April worked as a reporter for Channel 6, a New York news station that didn't seem to have many staff members. The main supporting characters were Bern Thompson, her boss, Vernon Fenwick, her colleague, and Irma, a receptionist and friend of April. While April was reporting in a tech crime wave, Shredder sent a band of thugs to silence her. She ran into the sewers where she was rescued by the Turtles. However, April had reasons not to trust the Turtles. After all, the crime wave was perpetrated by ninjas. Still needing to get to the end of the story, she made a compromise of helping the Turtles figure out who mutated Splinter and therefore find a cure for his condition. And at the same time, the Turtles would help her crack open this new crime organization. Unbeknownst to them, these two tasks were interconnected. When April discovered one of the fronts of the Foot Clan, Shredder ordered her kidnapping to lure the Turtles into the open. This led the Turtles to discover the Foot Clan and learn more about the Technodrome, a mobile fortress moving beneath the streets. After 3 hectic days, April returned to work, hoping her life would return to normal. However, this calm only lasted a couple of hours. The Mousers invaded the Turtle lair, forcing them and Splinter to seek refuge at April's apartment. They also asked her to gather information on Baxter Stockman. This did not go well for her apartment.
Here! I found Baxter Stockman's address. Why don't you go there and do some damage?
The Mousers tracked Splinter to April's apartment and completely destroyed her building. Fortunately, she and Splinter survived thanks to a timely rescue by the Turtles. Up to that point, April had been determined to uncover the whole story about the Shredder and the Technodrome. But Vernon got the chance to report on the Turtles' existence first. Desperate to get a better scoop, April used her turtle communicator and deceived Bern, telling him it was a weapon. She did this to convince him to assign her a crew to report on the Technodrome. Even though Bern later revoked the order, April persuaded Vernon and the crew that she was onto something important. She finally did a report on Krang's attempt to invade the city and successfully defended the Turtles on TV. Now, don't get me wrong, April would often find herself kidnapped, but she was never a useless supporting character, even under those circumstances. she'd use these situations to her advantage or figure out a way to help the turtles. Throughout the series, April also became the subject of a few mutations, but never through mutagen or in a permanent way. In one episode called Catwoman from Channel 6, Bebop and Rocksteady stumbled upon the turtle lair while experimenting with a teleportation device. Tired of covering colorful human interest stories, April saw an opportunity to track this device using evidence left in the lair. During her investigation, a cat accidentally triggered the teleportation device, and both the cat and April were bathed in a strange energy that eventually transformed her into a Catwoman. When she went back to try to reverse the process, Shredder put a mind control collar on her and sent her after Splinter. This assassination attempt was short-lived, as all the turtles needed to do was remove the collar. The effects of her transformation were apparently temporary, and April went back to her usual human self. On another occasion, Dr. Polydorius mutated her into a half-human, half-tuna mutant as part of his plan to create a new civilization of fish people. After the turtles defeated him, they had him change her back to normal. Additionally, in one of the many episodes centered on Baxter Stockman, April was temporarily mutated into a wasp. Another interesting aspect of this version was her Aunt Agatha Marbles, a character inspired by Miss Marple from Agatha Christie's works. Also known as Aunt Augie, she was a world-famous sleuth and crime solver who assisted the turtles on a couple of occasions. In one such adventure, the Case of the Hot Kimono, she helped them recover Master Splinter's kimono from the Mafia. It's a long story. April wasn't just a simple reporter on location. She often took on the role of an anchorwoman and conducted interviews at the studio. For 7 seasons, April's character remained almost unchanged. However, during the Red Sky seasons, some significant changes were made. Visually, she stopped wearing her iconic yellow jumpsuit and switched to brownish tones mixed with green and yellow. Her eyes also became distinctively blue. But the changes didn't stop at her appearance. In one episode, Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady took the Channel 6 building hostage, forcing the turtles to rescue Krang from Berserko, or else they would blow up the building with the crew inside. Thankfully, Splinter got wind of the situation and rushed to rescue April and her colleagues just in time. The turtles arrived a minute too late, and Shredder demolished the building. The turtles saved the day, but they were lucky that Splinter heard about the situation and saved the crew. This whole situation made Byrne double down on his anti-turtle crusade. This bombarding of anti-turtle propaganda mixed with some misleading facts confused April, and she started thinking that the turtles had really turned into criminals. It didn't help that the turtles had actually allied themselves with some ninja criminals to investigate a new criminal mastermind, named Megavolt. However, as April eventually discovered the truth behind Megavolt, she realized her doubts were unfounded, and apologized for ever questioning their intentions. April's role in the show changed as well. She became more serious, and displayed a newfound efficiency in avoiding getting kidnapped. Eventually, April decided to leave her job at Channel 6 and became an independent journalist. However, her association with the Turtles tarnished her reputation due to Lord Dregg's efforts to smear the Turtles' name. But this didn't stop April from finally exposing the true intentions of Lord Dregg through Channel 8. After this, April continued working freelance, investigating and supporting the Turtles in their fight against Lord Dregg. In the final confrontation against him in the series finale, they rescued her one last time. But what happened to April after the series ended? Well, some clues were given a couple of seasons before, as the Turtles were fighting against Havoc, a group of mutants created by Titanus, with the intention of world domination. Another character showed up and antagonized the Turtles, some sort of high-tech soldier known as Krakus. After talking to him, the Turtles discovered that Titanus and Krakus came from the year 2066. Then Titanus created an army of mutants, and nearly took over the world. As a result, genetic engineering was outlawed, and all mutants were arrested on sight. To escape, Titanus traveled back in time to create an army of mutants in the present. Krakus was clearly confusing the Turtles for Titanus' minions, but he realized they were the good guys when he saw April O'Neil was by their side. It turned out that April O'Neil was a famous reporter in the future, and she also saved Krakus' father when he was a young boy in the year 2014. Clearly influenced by the Terminator movies, now Krakus had to protect April O'Neil, and to do so, he temporarily became a mutant himself. By the end of the episode, they sent Titanus to prehistoric times, and Krakus returned to the future. The concept of April being a reporter became incredibly popular, and has been featured in various iterations of the Ninja Turtles franchise. She consistently appeared as a reporter, from the original movie trilogy to the Michael Bay movies, Fred Wolf spin-offs like the Archie series, and numerous video games. She even took on this role in one of the non-canon Mirage issues. Channel 6, the news station where April worked, also became an integral part of the Ninja Turtles franchise, appearing in various adaptations. Even her more recent adaptation seems interested in journalism. Another massive addition from the Fred Wolf cartoon is the association between April and the color yellow. Almost every iteration of the character is worn yellow, typically mixed with some green. Renee Jacobs returned to the Turtle franchise in one episode of the 2012 series, where she played April's mother. Well, it wasn't really her mother, kind of. The Fred Wolf version of April, fueled by the popularity of Turtle Mania, became the most iconic portrayal of the character. As a result, it continues to inspire and influence many other adaptations of April O'Neil in the Ninja Turtles franchise. What do you think of this version of April O'Neil? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching.